Father, I want to thank you for the grace and opportunity given to us to be among the living. Lord, accept our praise in Jesus' name. Lord, we are here this afternoon. We pray that you come and have your way in Jesus' name. Let all glory be yours and honor be ours in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Amen. Again, for the arrival of the remaining members of the volunteers and the program manager that will be coming today, in person of Mr. Ismail. Before his arrival, we'll be making use of this training manual, National Institute of Leadership on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls. It's been given to us by Nigerian Women Trust Fund. As we all know that we have the Lulu book. This one will be used as cutting engagement for the girls, while this one will be used for the seminars. So here with me we have Mr. Gift Oyerenwan. Please let's a round of applause for Mr. Gift. He will be taking us with the first module, while Mrs. Oguyemi will be taking us for the second module, while I will round it up with the third module. Please, sir.
Let's quickly look at the introduction. The book itself is National Institute of Leadership on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls. Training manual. And the introduction, it says women's voice and leadership over the years has been limited due to multiple barriers, which include violence against women, sexual violence, lack of opportunities in decision making, unequal gender relation, to mention but a few. However, violence against women and girls is one of the most serious in the barrier and a prevalent human rights violation. According to United Nations estimates, 1 in every 3 women or girl child has experienced physical or sexual violence because they are women. Violence is major obstacle to women and girls' development, welfare and development of their communities and society. Globally, more women are now in school. More women are not in school and work, yet girls are still more likely to be out of school, particularly at the secondary level, than boys. Although the number of women in elected offices has risen, but they are still only 21.8% of parliamentarians globally. So Sustainable Development Goals, which is SDGs, hold 3 promises to advance women's rights and include a specific goal or goals for gender equality. These goals based and include targets on ending gender-based violence, eliminating child marriage and female genital mutilations, and ensuring access to sexual and reproductive health. It also includes equal access to education, expanding women's economic opportunities, and reducing the burden of unpaid care, work on women and girls. Despite these comments, or this commitment rather, policies, framework, and laws, violation of women and girls' child persists. The goal is also a means to gender equality and women's empowerment. It is about increasing the potential of women against the background of their historical marginalization, which has relegated them to the margin of society, with a resultant effect of neither knowing nor being able to access their rights, including freedom from violence and abuse. According to the most recent national representative data by the Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey in 2013, most women and girls experience violence between the age of 15 and 31. In reality, 25% of men across Nigeria believe that it is acceptable for a man to beat his wife if, among others, she refuses him sex, goes out without telling him or burn the food. The increase in the occurrence of violence against women in Nigeria, amongst other factors, is not unconnected to the insignificant number of women in leadership and the unheard voices of women among young women in this regard. One of these reasons for this has been that despite her population advantage and developmental contributions, women and young women lack cohesiveness in their ranks to mobilize and network as forerunners in demanding women and girls' rights. Knowing that VAWG, which is what violence against women and girls, is sustained by gender norms that embody gender inequality and unequal power relations, Nigerian women and girls are consistently exposed to violence. That the trend and intensity of the violence is alarming. Violence against women and girls is a severe violation of human rights. Its impact ranges from immediate and long-term multiple physical, sexual, and mental consequences for women and girls, including death. It negatively affects women's general well-being and prevents women from fully participating in society. Violence not only has negative consequences for women, but also their families, the community, the country, and the country at large. It has tremendously cost from greater health care and legal expenses and losses in productivity, impacting national budget and overall development.
Tell us is trying to put together what gender-based inequality is all about, what violation of woman and girls' child rights is all about, and what needs to be put into consideration, the measures that needs to be put into consideration in order to tackle each and every of these components that has resulted to our state of being to the level it is at the moment. Because this thing started gradually, and before it started from the family where a child will always see the dad abusing the mom. And what happened? It becomes a norm to that child that it's normal to what? To raise your hand on a woman. And by so doing, it's not only affecting your home, but it's affecting what? The community at large, and it's affecting the nation as well. So that ushers into module 1, which we'll be looking at introduction to leadership. Leadership. When we say leadership, we know what leadership is all about. It is a quality that enables one to guide others based on instruction in order to what? Attain a particular goals. Leadership is what? The ability of one to be able to what? Guide others based on instructions in order to attain what? Specific goals. Woman makes up almost half of Nigerian population and informal workforce, yet they are promoted to leadership position at a rate far lower than their male counterparts or colleagues. Study shows that having women in the leadership position brings many benefits to the organization, including greater accountability and a culture of work-life balance. Yet, it can be difficult to determine the barrier, woman advancement, and even more difficult to surmount them. Learning how to foster and develop women as leaders not only benefits individual employees, but can benefit the entire organization and ultimately the nation at large. The section of objective work is that what we need to understand what the concepts and the importance of leadership is. He said, where you do not have people that lead, what happened? Everybody will just go and do things the way, lawlessness, do things the way they want. But when you have leader, each time you are deviating from the goals, your attention will be drawn back to it in order for you as a collective person to achieve your purpose and mandate. Also, there's what they call patriarchy. I think there's a motto that also deals with this. That is a belief that men should possess more power than the female in order for you to be able to control them. But it is not supposed to be like that. For the fact that you want to have control over women does not mean you should how do I do it now? You subject and you suppress their ability. No, but you should let them express their own ability. Because even the nation at large, we all need we need ourselves collectively to build a healthy nation. So under this patriarchy, some culture believe that you don't need to train a girl child. When you go to some part of this country, they'll tell you that if you're training a girl child, it's like you're wasting your resources. But is that really true in this present dispensation? If you take samples of maybe children that are of age, maybe that have married and left their parents, if you want to really look at the percentage that take good care of their parents, you will find out that it's mostly the girl child. Why am I saying this? Because you as a man, when you're of age, you tend to get married to another woman, and you are married from another family. And at that point, what comes to your mind first is how to cater for your immediate family. And even before you extend hands to your parents, what you then to do, you want to do the best you can for your in-laws before you consider your parents. So, but for a girl child, no matter what, she will always think of her parents. She will always think of her parents. So, if we still go by that, archaic ideology that training a girl child is a waste of resources, then we are making a great mistake. Because why? Girl child is as important as the male child in the family. So there shouldn't be segregation between a male child or a female child. A child is a child. From all the explanation we've done before, how did she define leadership? In your own term, from what everybody have to say something. From the whole thing we've read, how can you put words together from all these things we said? How can you define leadership?
The woman trusted her, and she was able to pick the matter from there. As in the act there, as in is a leadership role in that make her to take that thing upon herself.
According to what Asma Keda wrote here, he or she said that, I don't know that she's a man.
I think it should be a she.
Says she was the leader, that is the woman that reported her husband now, because she overcame her own fear. If it to be like some women, they believe that how will I even say it out that my husband raped my daughter and killed her. So she was able to overcome her own fear and expose her husband. So to her now, because she believed that leadership is the ability to overcome your fear and expose any crime whatsoever, be it from your relative or from an outsider.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's a process of influencing someone or a group of persons to achieve a particular goal. Yeah.
Thank you. And for them to do was subscribe, not for them to just see it, but for them to also subscribe to that idea. That is when you can drive it toward manifestation. If they see and they don't subscribe to it, what will happen? You just be the one chasing cloud. But by the time they subscribe to that idea, then collectively it will be much more easier for you to attain the ultimate goal. Yeah, we're still waiting.
Inspiring others to pursue their goals, leadership.
Thank you, man. You are just like a driving force. You are just a driving force behind others who are fulfilling their own dreams. That's a big one. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, she was able to overcome her fear.
Her fear. That's one.
Yes. she was courageous.
Okay.
She was bold enough to say that, you know, some people, they will not want to share it. It's a secret in the family.
That's 3. Do we still have more? I think those are the major. Those are the major ones. Courage. She was able to overcome her own fear, and she didn't tie what family affairs to it. She was able to come out and say, "My husband was the one that raped." She was sincere. She came out and said the way it is. Sincerity. So that's that. We've dealt with that. Then the number 3 question say, what role did this woman play in Kedar's life? What role did this woman that came to meet her, what role did she play in Kedar's life?
She challenged her now. She challenged her because she believed in her that this woman should be able to help me. And for her to come to her and told her such a thing, she challenged her that then if you can't do it, it's left for you. So she challenged her.
Thank you, man. Do you still have another? Do you have something else to say concerning that?
Grace of God, this will usher us to the second module. That is page 25. Page 25. I think I'm right? Yes, page 25. Are we there? Have you seen it? Yeah. Module 2. So the topic we are talking about, our focus here is violence against women and girls child. Violence against women and girl child. So when we are talking about violence against women, let me start by trying to define the key words there. We have violence, we have women, and we have girl. So let's start from violence. Violence means behavior involving physical force intending to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. Whosoever that approach you in a violent way, that person has a aim. He has a purpose of attacking you in such a way. It's either to bring your morale, to kill your morale, or to hurt you, or to damage something in you. That means that person has seen something in you. And when we are talking about woman, a woman is a grown-up girl child, a female, a grown-up female, while a girl is a young female. So the term violence against women means any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or psychological harm or suffering to women, including threat of such as coercion, can also say force or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private. That is what violence against women is all. Is an act against gender-based violence that results in physical or sexual harm or suffering to women. So violence against women shall be understood to encompass but not limited to the following. Violence against women shall be understood to encompass but not limited to the following: physical, sexual, psychological violence occurring in the family, including sexual abuse, battering. Battering means beating someone with force. We all know the meaning of sexual abuse, forcing someone to have carnal knowledge of the person. Or female children, sexual abuse of the female children in the household, bride price related violence, marital rape, female genital mutilation, and other traditional practices harmful to women. We don't know what female genital mutilation means. Doing circumcision for a girl child is a violent act against girl child. Another traditional practice is harmful to women, spousal violence and violence related to exploitation, sexual harassment and intimidation at work, in education institutions, and so on and so forth. Let me quickly just explain this place to us. There is a story somebody told me yesterday. The person told me, the person came to our house yesterday evening and he was reading it on his phone that a man was beating the wife, the mother now. So in the process, their child couldn't take it again. The guy took a bold step and was the father and beat up the father. You know, for that child to do something like that, the person now asked that, is that child supposed to, I don't even know whether the child is a girl or a boy, that is that child supposed to do something like that? I told him, I said I will not blame the child. Probably this man has been doing it repeatedly, that the child cannot take it any longer. How will somebody just be beating my mother in my presence every time? Blood ran in the vein of that child. So probably that was what prompted the guy to beat up the father in order to deliver the mother. So that takes us to the next section, which says sex versus gender. Sex versus gender. Before now, if you ask me, I say that sex and gender are the same. Because every time you are feeling any form, the right sex or gender there, whereas they are two different things. Sex refers to physical or biological differences between a male and female determined by biology or do not change without surgical intervention. That is sex. It has to do with physical appearance. As I'm standing, anybody that's me know that this person is a girl. As this my brother here is standing, anyone that's seen without saying anything, without asking him any question, we know that he is a boy. So that is sex. Now, what is gender? Gender refers to social differences between males and females determined by history, culture, tradition, society, and religion. Have we seen the difference now? The difference is that the first one is physical, has to do with physical appearance, while the second one is social differences. The first one is determined by biology, while the second one is determined by what? By history, culture, traditions. You know, as there are some things that we grown up to know that a girl child should not do. While there are some things that we grown up to know that a boy child should do and should not do. That is what gender is all about. Thank you. So from there, let's move on. It involves, still talking about gender, it involves socialization of boys, girls, men, and women, which determine roles, responsibilities, opportunities, privileges, limitations, and expectations, and usually different from one culture to the other. Some culture will tell you that in our own culture, as a girl child, you can't do this. As a boy child, you can do this. Why you cannot do this? So it's different from one culture to other, and it's not rigid. It can change. It changes from time to time. In many cultures, boys learn from early age what what's supposed to do and what they're supposed not to do. I used to have a friend, may her soul rest in peace. When she was alive, she told me that anytime her first child, which is a boy, fall down and the boy wants to cry, father I tell him, no, Shebilore, don't cry, you are a man. Don't cry. Stand up. You know, they are putting that thing in him that you are a man. You don't have to cry. African society, we believe that cry belongs to girls. Female. So right from younger age, even me, my child that is just 1 year, I will tell him, see how you are crying like a baby girl. Why am I telling him? You are a boy, don't cry. Do you get it? So we teach them this right from young age, that they are not supposed to cry because they are taught that crying is what girls do. It is very common that girls are expected to help with household work while boys are not. If you bring out like 10 families, they will tell you that their boss child doesn't do any house job, while girl's child does. I've not seen, because I've not seen such a thing in my life. I've heard of a woman that used to abuse her husband, physically abused. So, violence is used mostly by men, but sometimes by other women to keep girls and women in their position of having less economical, political, psychological, and social power than men overall. So that is the purpose of that violence. They use it so that they can keep men in their low, their less, they can lessen them, they can as in bring them to nothing. That you are a woman, you have limitations. There are some things you can't do because you are a woman. There are some things you can't do because you are a man. Like my brother rightly said before now, that in the olden days, my mother did not go to school, my mom, because the parents believed that a girl child, you don't need education. It's not that they did not have the money, they have the money. But they believe that you are a girl, you belong to kitchen. Don't, there's no need of wasting money on you. Why they train all their boys? Send them to school. So when women try to assert their claims to such power, for example, when they are involved in protest over economic and political rights, they are often attacked. They attack them. When women like Yusuf, Aisha, I've asked somebody, ask me, Shele ni okosha, did this one have a husband? Because of what? Because she was leading a protest. Like, why is Kilo Mbaka? What is she looking for? Look at what happened to Funka Kindele when she was contesting for deputy governor in Lagos State. Nigerian people, they quickly compose song for her because she is a woman. They believe that she's not supposed to go there. She's not supposed to even accept, if at all. Ma? Yes, by the form. If at all they even give him, she's not supposed to collect because she's a woman. When we come to woman will die.
So situation in Nigeria.
What in my own perspective feel is that instead of him coming into that fighting within and beating, it's better maybe if he can plead and hold his leg at that period. No, if you hold him, yes, I know there are some men that they were like, even by holding, you can start kicking him.
Yes.
But by the time you hold him, you don't leave him. I started crying. And no matter how, at that moment, you just signal to your mom. You can run away. You can run, she can run away at that time.
There are some men that are vampires. They are no matter what you do.
Yes, you are right, man. Let's just pray that it will never happen to any one of us, because as we are bringing that solution, there are some that they are another problem. They are tiger and lion and everything together.
I will say that even if the father laid the cause, I will pray and make the cause. In as
That's
much
another way.
I have God that is higher than him.
Yes.
And the action taken by the man is against the rule of law.
Why if you killed your mother?
Then I will not forgive myself.
It's not the cause.
You will not forgive yourself.
You are a cause.
And in terms of cause, you know, most of the time it's our own personal belief that makes that all those cause really works. In terms of he or she has laid cause on me, that's why. But if you believe in your God, even if you have done wrong, if you believe in your God, I'm very sure even in maybe tradition, anyone said if you call on him, he will go forgive you.
Yes.
So it's our own personal belief sometimes that because this person has laid cause on me and the cause is working, who does that? Some will tell you that in your family background, they don't used to make it. That means every one of you, it's nonsense, it's your belief. Yes, they might be saying that. But if you have heard of that, I've heard of that kind of story, and I keep it to myself. I do say it anywhere. If you are telling me I will not buy motor, you will die before next year. I always tell categorically, if you are telling me I will not make money, I will not make it in life, you will not go anywhere. So it's that kind of belief in us in terms of that cause. If you are having the belief that yes, this thing will happen, it will surely happen. If you are having it that if you can pray in night, pray afternoon, anywhere you know you can pray, go and do it. That's
Thank
just
you. So we have a song to learn, and this song we have to know it. We have the song in our manual, but in our manual we only have one stanza, and the songs have 3 stanzas. So should we go with the one, or we should go with the 3?
If you can learn up.
Okay. once we know that first one, the rest are simple. So we all have it on manual. So later I will give us the remaining two. So should we go?
In the shadows, wants to stay behind. The silence is true equality. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development and peace. Equality, development and peace. Equality, development and peace. Let's take it again. So sing this. Nation all around the world, women are longing to be free. No longer in shadow, forced to stay behind, but side by side in true equality. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace.
Went through her when go through her when she was reading. Please, can someone explain what really happened in the passage for us to know that we were with her when she was reading? Can someone explain what happened? It's a story, so who can just summarize the story? It's going to be an interactive
A
session.
young woman. When people refuse to talk,
Oh yeah, talk.
when she gave birth to her child, her female child, after 5 days, 3 days, a mother that has a child, son of 5 years, shows up that the girl will be the wife to her son. The baby mother did not say anything. She did not agree and she did not object. So she, after 10 years or 11 years ago, the woman showed up again and want to marry a girl of 11 years. So because the woman, the mother now, Fatima, I can say that she exposed, she has been attending some meetings. So she's enlightened. If not so, she will have allowed them to marry the girl. But because of that enlightenment, she refused. And thank God to the wonderful husband she had. The husband supported her, because if the husband did not support her, it would have been something else. So that was how she won the battle. They were unable to marry the girl at the age of 11 to a farmer of 16 years. So
Thank you. Please, let's clap for her for the beautiful contribution. So we have questions here. Question 1, I'm in page 42. What would have happened if Fatima's mother had not intervened? They would marry a girl of
11 years.
11
That doesn't
years.
even have the idea of marriage.
Good. About marriage. Question 2. What role did Fatima's father play, if any? What does the law say about age of marriage in Nigeria? That is what we'll be looking at now.
Underage marriage is not
Identify communities in Nigeria where child marriage is common practice. Northerners. Which is why we are here. Which is why, no, we have some parts of the southern people, the western world, western people too. But I think it's most common in the north. It's most, so which is why we are here.
It's a way of life.
That's what to me, I think they choose that.
That's why I said it's a way of culture. They choose it.
They are getting more exposed because this is my sister, she's from the north, so she will not agree. What are the consequences of child marriage / forced marriages?
regret forever.
Will
It
lead
cause-
to regret.
It will lead to regret and some other things that it can even cause the virus there, because by the time she started seeing what she doesn't even like, or at the end of the day, she might not even like the man per se. The man it might lead to the voice.
Yeah. Yes.
I want to say something.
Okay, ma.
And we are doing something more. But we just need to divided ourselves into different groups. Okay. A1, who and who are speaking? What are they speaking on? How do you want to do? What we are doing is like 3 in 1. If I'm right. I think, are we going to, hello,
Madam, sir.
are we going to participate anything game on the
Yes, sir.
game?
Yes, sir. Next week, Saturday, we'll be picking. We did some practicals here the last time, so we'll be picking one of the practicals, or one or two. Then we'll practicalize it, pass the message across on how we are going to be engaging the. So I think the 6th venue we need to pick it now, because I don't know if we'll still be meeting again.
So basically, it's not something wrong like that. In terms of okay, as I said, we divided ourselves into groups. The groups that will be in charge of refereeing from B1, the group that will be in charge of the speakers. You understand? Every one of us cannot speak. And what are we going to be talking about? What are we going to be talking about when we get there? So, assuming I'm the one that is opening the floor, the welcoming speech, we have someone that will talk about the foundation. The foundation, just a little brief about the foundation itself, and the same person that will talk about the foundation will be the person that will talk about why we are here. Yeah, the introduction of why we are here. So after the why we are here, I think it's just to introduce. Okay, before that we'll have introduced any guests we are having here. Introduce any, because we don't know who and who that might feel like they need to join us. Say understand. Welcome them. And I always said this: we need someone who can raising voice to end violence against women and girls, all the module 1 to 4 or 5. The way we are going to combine everything together is not going to be more than 30 to 35 minutes. One thing we are going to do, so for every one of us is having the book, if we have each speaker for each location, those speakers will go back and write something down, summarize something down that they can speak on, because all these things we are going to do, we are going to make sure that we compile it also and keep it as our own document. That's what the NGO does. All these people, it's combination of copy online and everything. They now put everything together. So every speaker also we have to do the same thing. How we all this module 1, module 2, how we can bring everything together, summarize, so that we'll be able to talk for, let's just say 35 minutes. Too much, yes, too much of talk also is another wahala. Too much of talk is another wahala. Because one thing is that if they know that we want to do this, we want to give them scientific part, that will be on their head that now which I want to collect. And also everything we are talking still end on gender-based violence. And something came up to my mind today. If eventually there are guys that are available for the event, also if eventually we should not send them out. If eventually we are going to, I'm still going to talk to the boss about that. If we have guys, boys available on that day, we should not send them out, because yes, yes, so we need them also to be around. But targetly, we are giving the female sample part. And in terms of this sporting of the team, the first thing I raise is that we are in Abuja. We know that most of all this community, they might be Muslim. That is the first thing I said. How many Muslims have you seen sports in this country? That is, okay, Muslim that use hijab, you will not see. But one thing is that if we are learning all these sports, we need to see as a Muslim how we can convince you. And yes, as a Muslim, you can play football. But if you said that here, your father will kill you. That a Muslim Alaja want to play football. Yeah. But as a Muslim Alaja, you can play football. There's a customized, there's an hijab they have made for them. In Saudi Arabia, they play football. The first, there's a first female that won this Olympic, I think last 2 years. She's 30-something years old, I think from Saudi Arabia also. So she played for I think the United States also. So we have to make sure that we are able to convince them. Because if we are telling them that we want to participate in a sport that day, we want to organize something for them that day, there are some might be like, because of their religion, they don't want to involve themselves because of the mentality that they have already keyed into every one of us at head, and that's just it. This country, there is a lot of mentality that we really need to flush out, and it's almost kind of late. It now depends on individual later. So that is very key thing I thought, like I hope that where we are is not as it's not a majority Christian land. It's a place that we are going to see Muslim. So we have to be prepared for that. Any sport we are going to be organizing, any game, anything, should be something that, okay, even if you are a Muslim, you are saying you don't want to, we are going to explain to you this, that it doesn't have anything to do with it. If you go online, you will see others. And there's a place which we are going to talk about the legends, the female who have been doing very, very well in this country as an example. So those ones, she has listed 6 names. We are going to add that one. We are going to come up with just brief talk. We find a way to involve them. We are going to do their placard also, their picture to show them, because it's very okay, you know. When we are talking about all these things, they should see some of it. We are showing them that you can see this person, she's a female and still in likes of Nkojo Iweala. She is one of the strongest women in Africa as that we are speaking. There are some places that nobody can hold her in the whole world. She will enter and come back successfully. So we have to let them, we have to sink all these things into their brains and let them know. And in line of, let me just say this, in line of this legal and institution framework, it's where we have to also blend it to the local aspects. They are there. The first question is, how many of them have access to phone? They might be little. We have to let them know in terms of legal backing, or when you are harassed, who you can call. We have to bring it down to them. The first person, if you cannot call your parent, if it's your parent who is harassing you, go to your king, the nearest king palace, or the chief in your environment, or any elder in your community. You know you can meet. You can go to your church, you can go to your mosques, go and report. All these things needs to be heard to anything they are writing. All the local means they can use to call for help. It has to be educated, because we are almost far distance to them. The only thing we can do, if they call us now, if they call us, we also will be looking for how to call a police station over there, and it might be too late. Not as if they cannot call us, they can call us, but all these means should be all together so that it will be able to help them. And I think that's just all. We just need to share ourselves into group. I said the welfare side, and the welfare side doesn't. It's not like about giving them this. The welfare side will be the one in charge of them, because every one of us are not going to stay in one place on that day. Every one of us are going to stand between them. Every one of us. If you know you cannot stand up to sit down between them, every one of us. That's how we are going to miss ourselves. And some that can be walking up and down. So all this material will be available, and the said desk will be available, the placard of the thing will be available. And as a speaker, please, anyone that is doing speaker, let's always make it an interactive section. Not like you are just going to speak and go and sit down. No. Ask questions, let them ask questions. In likes of this GBV, you can go there as a speaker. I'm here to speak about GBV. You can just first ask them, any one of you, do you know the meaning of GBV? So anyone that is going to be a speaker, let's make it a very interactive sector so that it will not be bored. Let's ask questions. And we are working on what we call a feedback. Let me